Welcome, everyone. Hello. Thank you all for being here. What a great crowd. This is awesome. If Darlene, I'm sure she's hovering, as she said before. She's here with us tonight. So thank you for being here. My name is Terry Emma. I'm the director here of this wonderful museum. And I love seeing all these faces and people here. And what a great night. Welcome to Saving Fabyan's Legacy, the Darlene Larson Story. And what a story she has. And tonight, I know you can't absorb it all. I really encourage you to come back, even tomorrow, our first day open since December. There's so much to take in. The touch screen, the videos, you have to come back when it's quiet and you can just sit and read and listen. There is so much to learn, and this is just touching the highlights of all that she did. So this exhibit is not about Colonel George and Nell Fabyan, as you can see, but this story wouldn't have happened without them. So we do honor them and tell you why everything is there. This is Darlene Larson's story, and it is about when her family hosted an exchange student from Japan in 1971, Akiko Nakayama. And the last day of the visit included a picnic at the Fabyan estate. And Darlene was so excited to show Ako, as she called her, this Japanese garden. And they arrived there and come to the Japanese garden, and it is a mud swamp, broken bridge, weeds, and it just was not taken care of. And so what does Darlene do? She said, "I am so embarrassed." Well, I interviewed Ako. You'll have to come back. She's in New Zealand now. She's about 70 years old. Interviewed her. She's on the TV. You'll have to come back and listen to her interview. She recalls that very day. And she says that Darlene looked at her and said, "Don't worry, I'm going to fix it." And Ako was like, "Okay." So what was so beautiful about that is the friendship that was created that day and through those 3 or 4 days that she stayed with the Larson family. And Darlene and Ako kept this relationship on for the rest of their lives, rest of Darlene's life anyway. The cards and letters that the family has shared with us. And Ako sent her a book about Japanese gardens after she got back to Japan. That book is on display, and it has also been digitized so you can look through and the scans of it that inspired Darlene to take on this project. Well, what's interesting is she started that in 1972, and it took until 1977 to finish. That's how hard she worked. And it was her and the Geneva Garden Club. She enlisted her friends there, the club that she was part of, and the club she knew that could take this project on. She also got the Forest Preserve involved, and they were willing to, once they were educated as well as to what this place should be. She researched countless hours of reaching out to people who used to work there or who grew up there on the estate. She gathered photographs. All of what we have today is thanks to Darlene. And what timing. Those people are all gone now. Who knows what would have happened to that information, those photographs. Darlene was her own museum. And so after she does the Japanese garden, she doesn't just stop. That inspires her then to go on to the villa, to the eagle statues, the garage, the windmill, the lighthouse, the countless things that she found through her research. She really had a passion for this place. And I think it is because of her that we have what we have today. I knew Darlene when I was young. My dad designed the bridge for her at that time. He was an architect here in town. And so I knew my dad was doing this job. And Darlene was relentless. And I remember my dad coming home and saying, "Darlene Larson called again." But it takes a person with that personality and that perseverance to do what she did. And she didn't let up, she didn't stop. And people knew that, and they respected her, and they made action because of it. So I knew her, I knew what she had done, I knew some of the projects and so on, and we got to be a little closer when I came here to the museum about 12 and a half years ago. And then I started talking to her in her later years about what are you going to do with this museum that you have in your house? And I had been to her house several times. We had exchanged photographs, and I dropped off a few things, and I kept asking her, can I just come over and can I film you, and we'll go through all your stuff together, and you can tell me what it is. And, oh, I'm not ready. I need to make more copies. And oh my God, she made more copies. And then she'd say, give me 6 more months. And I'd put it on my calendar. I'd call her 6 months later. Okay, Darlene, can I come over? I've got volunteers. You don't have to do a thing. We're going to take everything and you can tell me. No, she was never ready. So then we decided we'd write up an agreement because I just wanted to make sure. I didn't really know the Larson family at that point other than we were from the same neighborhood, kind of, grew up here. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew what Darlene wanted to do with her museum. And so she signed off that she wanted it all to come here. And the family knew that. And thank goodness, this family, this wonderful Larson family, came here, be careful what I wish for, came here how many times with boxes and boxes and carloads. Since 2019, we had several deliveries. And it was a little overwhelming at first, I have to say. But thanks to COVID, as all of us have said, COVID did kind of bring some good things to life. I used this room in 2020 to literally empty all of her boxes and sort, and I could leave a mess every day with Post-it notes and so on, and started to organize it then. And then a wonderful person named Joyce Elliott, a volunteer. Joyce, where are you? She's here. Oh, there she is. Joyce, she's been volunteering here as a regular basis, so we set aside every Wednesday afternoon since 2019. We've been meeting together. I always wipe out my Wednesday afternoons. Joyce is here. She's a relative of Darlene's, so it helped that she knew some people, she knew things, and so on. And we go through things for 3 hours, 4 hours every Wednesday for the last 5 years. So we've been doing this, like I said, since 2019. Tonight, I'm presenting to the family. This is the list of items that they have donated from their mother's collection. So this is a total from just from what you guys brought over. Everything's been indexed, numbered. Every single item is numbered, indexed, put away, plastic sleeves, folders. We could go downstairs and find it in 2 seconds if someone wanted to look something up. 5,856 individual items in this pile, but I'm not done yet. Out of this pile, 3,041 images, 2,747 archival documents, letters and etc., 28 3D objects. Since then, we have gone to the garage, thanks to Preservation Partners, where Darlene held an office, and we picked up a few more boxes. Now our total is over 6,200 items, and I believe there's more boxes to come. Vivian's got her thumb up over there from the villa. We're ready to pick them up, Vivian. But what a joy. It really has been a joy to go through this collection personally. Ann Kane is here too. Ann, where are you? There you are, Ann. Ann joined this as a volunteer about a year or two ago with me and Joyce. 2 years? God, it flew by. Thank you for assisting, and she continues to assist. And it's great to have a team of the same people who know what you've seen and oh, I saw this before, and this goes here. So they're very organized. And the Larson family, I have to thank you. They've been so kind. I contacted you probably a year and a half ago with this idea, and they were all on board because it's about time your mom gets her story told. They have been so supportive and assisted with the loan of more objects and telling stories and making connections with other people. They also allowed for the reprint. So many of you have this lovely blue book at home of Geneva's history. Darlene wrote a chapter in it with Laura Hebert back in 1977, and it's about the Fabyan estate. Then later, she and Laura published their own book. It's like a little pamphlet, Fabyan Legacy. And they did it this was done through the Geneva Public Library. So the library gave us permission to republish Darlene's book into a new book with more pictures. So this is for sale in the gift shop. So it is all, I didn't change any of Darlene's words except for things that were, date-wise had to be updated. There's more pictures, bigger pictures, and they're all from Darlene's collection. But thank you, family. And actually, Renee Vig, who I'll introduce you to here in a moment, Renee Larson Vig, wrote the foreword for the book. So I want to thank Preservation Partners of the Fox Valley. You've been great partners in this exhibit. For so many years, the museum always kind of tiptoed around Colonel Fabyan and the whole story because we felt like it was not in our circle. But with Darlene, we kind of felt like the story needed to be told. And they've been wonderful partners in helping us with the loan of so many of the objects that you see in here, and also helping editing the text of the exhibit to make sure accuracy was on point. And they were just, we've developed a great friendship. So thank you, Kelsey, Vivian, and Al, who are, I think, all here. But I want to thank you. Also, special thanks to our exhibit sponsors, State Street Jewelers. Kelly Vass is in the back there. So I mentioned back in December that I had this idea of a touch screen where you could touch the map and see cool pictures. And after I mentioned it, Kelly walks up to me and says, "How much is that going to cost?" And I told her. She said, "You got it." So that is a business that knows their community and really is devoted to it and doesn't ask for anything in return. They're amazing people. But you've given us a gift because even after this exhibit, that touchscreen can be used in so many ways. And it was a lot of fun to learn how to do it. The Fabyan Foundation, they also gave a gift for the rest of the money to fund this exhibit. And then this summer, if you have kids, grandkids, whatever, it's going to be a fabulous kids exhibit in this room called The Curious World of Colonel Fabyan. And it will focus more on the Colonel and Nell with a, thanks to Craig Elliott, who's in the back there. Hi, Craig. Everyone's like expectations now. He's building us a windmill. Maybe I shouldn't say all this. We hope that there's a windmill. We hope that there's a Japanese bridge. We have, I give him all this wish list and then we have to get to reality. But in my mind, it looks amazing, Craig. To the museum's amazing staff that I get to work with every day and have the privilege of working with every day. Marky, Heidi, and Vanessa, they are in there serving food. They are checking in people. None of that's on their job description, and I never hear a complaint. They are amazing people to work with, and thank God we've got them. And of course, our many volunteers who work with us all the time. There's so many of them here. I see Pat. Oh my God, there's so many core and volunteers who I see every week. But there's some really key ones I just want to mention real quick. Craig Elliott, of course. Craig, he, I asked him, "Can you display the cement?" "Sure," and he comes up with a custom way to display the cement that's safe and secure. The guy's amazing. Paul Flouter, a newer, I saw you, Paul, sorry, there you are. Paul's amazing. He and Craig were a great team putting things together. Chuck Howlett, Kevin Phillips, we all went over to the Fabyan estate and I asked them to grab some cement pieces and the eagle mold, and we had a great fun day, and it was a lot of work, heavy concrete. To the members and donors here tonight who support this wonderful museum, we couldn't do this without your help, so thank you. This is what your membership and your donation does for this community, that we can tell a story that needs to be told and do it in a fun, creative, and interesting way. So thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate your time, talent, and your treasure. And come back to enjoy it, like I said. But I also want to thank Colonel and Nell Fabyan for choosing Geneva. We wouldn't be here today telling this fantastic story if it wasn't for them. And what a great gift we have here in this community. I want to thank the Forest Preserve District of Kane County for keeping an eye on this lovely place that we call the Fabyan Estate, and for listening when Darlene spoke, and for giving us a wonderful gift that we have today. To the Geneva Garden Club, thank you for taking on that restoration project back in 1972 when Darlene went to your meeting and just said, hey, how about we fix up this place a little bit? And then I think what they said in the minutes that we have downstairs, they said, as long as it's not going to be too big of a project. And here 50 years later, more than 50 years later, you're still working on the garden on a regular basis. So God love you. This is awesome. Thanks to Darlene Larson. I think we all need to take a drink and do a cheers to Darlene Larson for educating all of us about the history of the Fabyan estate, creating the Friends of Fabyan organization to oversee the continued restoration efforts. I hope this exhibit, Darlene, does your story justice. And lastly, thank you, Larson family, for sharing your mother with us for all of these years. She's the reason the Fabyan estate legacy continues on today. We appreciate your sacrifice. We know how many hours this took away from her being your mother. I've heard stories. And the dining room table that you lost for so many years. But all of that, now you can see what that did for our community. But we thank you for your sacrifice of your mother for so many years, and what a great woman she was. You guys have big shoes to fill, Mike, sorry. And to those of you who visit this exhibit, what I hope you get out of this is a sense of what people can do with small, short strings and grassroots. It doesn't take $1 million to make a difference. If you see something, do something. And I hope that the list that we printed at the very end of the exhibit came from Darlene and her future goals, her long-range goals. Preservation Partners is waiting. They want to do this. They need your help. And I hope this inspires you to take on that challenge. I'm now going to introduce Renee Larson Vig.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much, Terry, for taking on this project, highlighting all of Darlene's achievements. Thank you all for being here to honor our mother and her efforts to preserve the Japanese gardens and the Fabyan Japanese garden and estate. Tonight I would like to share some of my thoughts and experiences regarding a remarkable woman, her vision, and her work. First, you should know that Darlene committed her time for Fabyans. Often she worked nearly every day, but for decades, pursuing her passion for Fabyans. She masterfully balanced her time for her work, family commitments, and her many, many, many other interests. Growing up during this time, it could be kind of frustrating for me. I really wanted to do anything but weed that garden. I didn't think Mom was so cool. This reminds me of when I was working at Houghton Mifflin. We used to sneak over to the bear cage on break for a cigarette. Well, the area needed a little work, we thought. But fast forward. Experience Fabyans now, today. The garden, the bridge, the tea house and villa. They are fabulous. It took time, it took Darlene, and the support of the Geneva Garden Club, thank you, and the Fabyan Forest Preserve. And yes, I guess she was kind of cool. Fundraising was essential to Darlene to make her plan happen. She reached out to Republicans and Democrats equally, which seems novel in today's age. Mom would contact her mayor, senator, and congressional representatives for support. And then, of course, her mayor, again, and again. I remember the time she hauled me out of high school and took me to meet with Representative John Grotberg. He was gracious. I was bored. But the Illinois State Capitol building was impressive. Ultimately, Darlene raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years for Fabians. From here, Mom formed the organization Friends of Fabyan, dedicated to the preservation and history of the Fabyan estate. Committees were formed, friendships and camaraderie ensued. Best of all, the extensive history of the Fabyan estate widened and grew. Darlene thoroughly enjoyed leading Friends of Fabyan and writing its many newsletters for decades. I remember vividly the clack, clack, clack as my mom would type the newsletter. One night, she was on her sun porch working on it. She went into the kitchen for a coffee refill. Seconds later, an out-of-control car crashed through the sun porch. It destroyed the room and beyond. I won't go into details. It was a very, very tragic night. But the good news, my mother was safe. Her green Smith Corona typewriter survived. And you know what? That Fabyan newsletter got out on time. Speaking of cars, my mom turned her navy blue '98 Oldsmobile, nicknamed by my friends as the boat, into a mobile office workstation. The back seat and trunk were filled with garden tools, gloves, books, and magazines, everything that she needed to do her work. She was way ahead of her time, and to say she was committed is an understatement. Darlene was driven to do things the right way. She knew that she needed to learn more, research more. Darlene traveled. She took trips and tours that related to gardens, Japan, and Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. Anything that would help Fabians. Many of these excursions she took with her great friend and curator of the Fabyan Villa, Marie Fraz. Yeah. On one occasion, Darlene met and befriended Melissa Galt, the granddaughter of Frank Lloyd Wright, the daughter of actress Anne Baxter, famously known for her role in the film The Ten Commandments. Darlene and Melissa corresponded for years and were good friends. My husband recently asked me, where did Darlene's grit and drive come from? Well, the catalyst was Akko, the exchange student that we hosted from Japan in 1971. Akko inspired Darlene, but Darlene's true drive came from her upbringing. She grew up during the Great Depression in a multi-generational household. She talked to me about those challenges that her parents and grandparents faced during that time. Family, work ethic, and giving back, though, was the standard in their family. My father used to tease my mom because she saved everything. And I do mean everything. Literally thousands of documents, photographs, newspaper and magazine clippings. Best of all were her descriptive, handwritten notes telling many stories. She saved her archive. She saved. Her archive filled a good portion of 3 rooms at our house. We estimated at its peak there were probably over 1 million items. The story of Fabians, Geneva, genealogy, and family memories she preserved. Well, speaking of photos, one of my favorites is of my son, Michael, viewing the Mouse House with Marie Fraz. This was taken at the Fabyan Villa in 1988 while my mom was babysitting Mike. The photo was featured in the Geneva Republican. The Mouse House has been saved and is here tonight. This is awesome. Darlene was an amazing grandma. Mom always made time for her friends and her neighbors. She wanted to hear their stories and ask if she could help. If my mom were here, she would say, I need your help. I echo her words tonight. whether it's lending a hand in the gardens, supporting initiatives for continued restoration, or speaking or spreading the word of preservation in our community. We can help. Darlene was successful with the help, support, and friendship of people gathered here tonight. First and foremost, thank you, Terry, for befriending our mother and for caring about her story. Thank you to my cousin Joyce and her husband Craig and all of the amazing volunteers and staff at the museum. Your extensive work, talent, and dedication showcasing my mother's vision is outstanding. I'm extremely grateful for your research and care of Darlene's collection. Thank you, Christy Dienst. Where are you? There you are. For your kindness, giving my mother so many car rides to Geneva Garden Club meetings. Thank you. Thank you, Gail Ellenbaum. Gail, are you here? Gail? For working with Mom on Friends of Fabyan. You made it fun with epic robe and wine parties and get-togethers at Mom's house. Thank you to my brothers, Scott and Brett, here tonight. You transported many boxes to the History Museum. And to me, to organize Mom's archive. Thank you to my family for understanding. Thank you, Preservation Partners of Fox Valley, Fabyan Foundation, and State Street Jewelers for sponsoring this exhibit and honoring our mother. I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled, to be here tonight celebrating and sharing our mother's journey with you. Mom, thank you to you. Cheers, Mom, for reminding us that change is possible and can be achieved through persistence. Thank you for living a wonderful life of progress, purpose, and inspiration. I am proud to be your daughter. Oh, wait, one last thing. I'm sorry, that's like Mom. Wait, I have something else. I recently found some of my mother's handwritten notes. I brought them here tonight. She was pondering what to say at the Japanese garden dedication on June 18th, 1977, also her birthday. She put a big star next to one quote, and then she wrote, as if she were to speak, she would say this: "Yesterdays are the petals from the blossoms of today, which grow from the seeds of tomorrow." I hope that you all enjoyed the exhibit, and thank you so much for being here.